between primitives and reference types. It's very important that you understand, and I'm going to make sure that you fully grasp this concept. So right here, let's start with primitives. So let's define a variable called a equals to 10. And let's go ahead now and define another variable called b equals to and then a. Now what I'm going to do is change the actual value of a. So a equals 2 and then let's simply say 100. And if I sort both a and b, right? So right here I'm going to say plus and then b. So let me actually add a plus here and simply say a here, and then this is b, just like that. So if I run this code, and I'm going to show you exactly something. So right here you see that a was initially 10, and then b, we said that b equals to a, and then we changed the value of a, right, to 100. So here you can see that, and I'm missing actually equals here, so maybe some equals there. So here you can see that the final value of a equals to 100, and then b is 10. So what is happening here is that when we say that b equals to a, this value right here, so this value that goes into b is passed by copy. So it's a copy of a, which means that if we change a, this value right here, so b, is untouched. Let me demonstrate this using Keynote. Right, somewhere in the memory in your computer, we have these addresses. So each address is where you store a variable. So in our case, we have a variable a, and this is a primitive, and we store the value 10. And then we said that we have a new variable called b, which was equal to a, right? So what this does with primitives is simply creates b in a different memory allocation. So 201, and then this is a primitive, and then the actual value 10, right? So it just takes a copy from a to the new memory address. So this is what is happening. And right here you saw that when we change a to 100, right, b is untouched because b lives in a different memory address. However, this is a little bit different with reference types. Right, so to demonstrate the exact same concept with reference types, let's go ahead and quickly create a static, and then class, and then person. And you'll learn about classes in a second, but for now just follow along. So right here, let's simply say that we have a string and a name, and simply say person, and then string name, and simply say this dot and then name equals to name. So right here, and this with semicolon. So right here, this is a class that we can create reference types or simply objects. So right here, let's simply say person, and then simply say Alex equals to new, and then person, and then pass Alex inside there. Now let's go ahead and create a second person. So I'm going to say person equals to Mariam, and then equals to, and then Alex. Now let me jump to Keynote to show you exactly what is happening here. So with reference types, it's a little bit different how these objects are stored in memory. So first we have person Alex, and this is the actual object. So this is somewhere in the memory. So let's say address 200, right? So this is an object. Then what we have is Alex, right? So we have the actual thing, right? Alex, and this is a reference to our object, right? So this is the main difference. So this is a reference to the object. And then we also created Mariam, right? So this is also a reference type, and we said that Mariam is equal to Alex. So now instead of pointing directly to Alex, right? So instead of the address 202 pointing to address 201, it will simply point to address 200. There we go. And this tells us something very, very important. And let me actually show it to you. So right here, let me simply go ahead and say south, and I'm going to say Alex and then .name, and then right here Mariam, plus, and then Mariam dot and then name, right? So here let me simply say south and then before changing Alex, and let me grab this exact same thing here, and then here let's simply say after changing Alex, and in between here let's simply say that in here we want to change Alex name. So here let's simply say Alex dot and then name equals to, and then let's simply say Alexander, right? So this is now the actual name. So remember, both Alex and Mariam are pointing to the initial object, right? So now I've changed Alex dot name to Alexander, right? So what do you think the value of Mariam will be? And in here, let's run this program so we can see the actual output. So right here, you saw that Alex has the name Alex, and then we have Mariam, and then Mariam should have the name Alex. But now if I change only Alex, right? Only Alex name, we expect Mariam, right? So Mariam to be untouched. So if I run this, there we go. So the output is that we have Alex, but then we change only Alex, right? And right here, when we print Mariam name, it is also Alex. So this is because they're pointing to the same reference. The same if I change Mariam, right? So here, if I say Mariam, so Mariam, and then here Mariam, and if I run this, Alex will lose its name. There we go. So you see that Alex, and then Mariam. So hopefully this makes sense to you. This is something to bear in mind with reference types. And next, to further explain this, I want to make sure that you understand how reference types and primitives are passed into functions. And we're going to discuss passing a variable by reference and by value. If you have any questions on this, drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on.